I'm quitting. I'm quitting human to human. Let's talk about it. I'm just kidding. I'm not quitting human to human. I love this so much. We're celebrating 4 years of human to human. I am not quitting, but I want to talk about being a quitter and the whole association with it. But before we get into that, we're going to start with a TMI story. This one is like fresh off the press, hot off the press, just happened. You will relate if you live in Ontario. We had an absolute torrential downpour the other day. It was absurd, and I'm so impressed. My new friend Jess and I both trekked out of our homes and met up for coffee. Her name is Jess Beard on Instagram. She posts about being sober curious. She has such a fun brand. I have followed her for so long, and we've gone back and forth for so long, and we finally got to hang out. But I'm impressed. I feel like we should have stayed home this day because we trekked out of our homes in the downpour, hung out, got coffee, had such a good time. And this was the day that we had a power outage across the almost not the entire city, but a lot of the city. And our streets were flooding. Like, Toronto could not handle the rain that came down this past week. And it's been raining a lot this summer, but that one was definitely like next level. I don't know when it was happening. I was like, damn, it's raining really hard, but I did not realize it was going to be flooding these streets. Okay. And a little bit of backstory. This happened on, I want to say Tuesday. And on Monday, I ate some dinner and had a bit of a stomach ache after, but I am such a stomach ache girly. And just to preface, I'm going to be oversharing. We're doing a little poo talk today, just so you know, in case you're eating. This is something I do at the start of the episodes to remind you that we're all human. We all go through weird things. And I wish someone normalized this when I was younger. So I had a bit of a stomach ache after I ate dinner. Didn't think much of it. I have like dealt with stomach aches a lot growing up, and this is actually kind of sad. I am so used to just like pushing through a stomach ache. I just like did it all the time that now as an adult, I have moments where I'm like, Jess, if you have a stomach ache, like you can tell the person you're with and you can like go home. You don't need to just like push through the pain. So know that if you have a bellyache, politely dismiss yourself sometimes. It's okay. So I ended up doing a virtual yoga class instead of in person because of my tummy ache. And this was also the day I got my period. So I was like, is it cramps? Is it a stomach ache? Like, I just really can't tell. There was a lot going on in my stomach. And I was really tired on the Monday because I had gone to the beach all day the day before. It was so much fun. But like, I took a long nap. Things were just off in my body. Then the downpour happens on Tuesday. And right before I leave my house, I have like a not so good number 2 deuce. And I was just like, that's a little odd. Maybe I'm like nervous. I was like really hyper that morning and started working on my computer. And I know if I get really hyper or anxious, like I can have a not great bowel movement. So I'm like, I'm all good. I'm going to go to this coffee date. It was such a good coffee date. It was so much fun. And we were hanging out in Union Station in downtown Toronto at a coffee shop because we were like, it's downpouring. Let's just like stay put. And so we wrapped up the coffee date because it started downpouring and flooding Union Station. And we were like, oh my God, there's literally water coming into our coffee shop. It smells bad in here. Let's get out of here. Bless this for happening because it pushed us to leave at the perfect time that when I got home, the elevators were sort of out of service. And for reference, I live on the 30th floor, so I'm not about to climb all those stairs. And someone like was able to take me up in the elevator, so it was fine. But like definitely things were like eerie in the city. And I'm hanging out with my roommate and I have leftovers from the night before the dinner I had, not realizing that the dinner was actually the thing that made my stomach hurt. I'll realize that real soon. And so I heat up my lunch. I'm chatting with my roommate. I just get home and then suddenly the power goes out. And she's like, is the power out? I'm like, and I check my light's not turning on. I'm like, oh my God, yeah, the power is out. So we chat for a bit. We place bets on how long the power will be out. And I'm painting my paint by numbers, like fun little butterfly, like craft that I've been doing lately. And my stomach's really hurting. And I'm like, why is my stomach hurting so bad? I'm like, oh my God, I need to go to the washroom. I run to the washroom and the power's out. And when the power's out, I don't know if this is true for all toilets, but my toilet couldn't flush. I had the worst diarrhea of my life. maybe not of my life, but it was awful and I couldn't flush my toilet. It was so sad. And I was like, okay, I don't really know what I'm going to do now. And then I ended up just like basically having the shits for 2 days. And it turns out I gave myself food poisoning. We're not going to get into like how and why I gave myself food poisoning because I'm actually incredibly embarrassed about it. It has to do with thawing meat and not immediately cooking it. And that's all I'm going to say. Just like be smart. This was my biggest fear every time I cook meat is I'm like, I don't ever want to like give myself the shits, and I literally did. And so this week has been such a literal shit show, and it feels like it just took a bad turn. And I've been hermiting in my house this week because I've just been like, I feel like shit, I'm on my period, there's so much going on in my stomach, I feel insanely bloated. It has just not been the vibe. And now let's get into the actual thing I want to talk about in this episode, because this all happened this week. Sunday leading up to this, I said I went to the beach. The day before, I had a work party. I think this is called summer. Summer is chaos. There's just so much going on, and it's like super fun and great, but like, wowee, I feel like I can barely breathe, which you'll understand. I'm taking actions to solve this, and this episode is one of them. So on the Saturday, I have a work event, and I'm so excited about this work event. We're going treetop trekking. It is a beautiful forest landscape. We're up in the trees. We're navigating these obstacles, but it's quite far from where I live downtown Toronto. So I like coordinate weeks in advance to like borrow my parents' car, and I'm like gonna go to luckily like my boyfriend slept over on Friday, so we drove back to where our parents live. Our parents live close to each other, so I got to take the car. I got to go to this work event. It was so much fun. It was honestly the best time I've had. It was so challenging doing the treetop trekking. All of us took like an hour to recover before we could like hang and chat and hang out outside and have a barbecue with everybody. But then it's like, okay, I need to go back downtown because in the winter, I booked myself a concert. Okay, one ticket to a concert, to an artist I've loved for a really long time. It's a very small artist. His name is Ben Howard. He's not like that small, but like relatively. And like nobody at my work event knew who he was. But like my aunt showed me Ben Howard when I was in like grade 8, and that like taught me what my music taste is. Old Ben Howard, not new Ben Howard music. And so it was like the depths of the winter, and I was just sad living in my parents' basement, needing to feel something. So I booked myself this concert ticket for Saturday night in the middle of summer, having no idea where I'd be or what I'd be doing. No idea I'd have moved out of my parents' house. Also didn't even really look to see the concert was in the East End. It wasn't even in the West End where I lived at the time and where my parents live. But determined Jess, like the concert comes up, I see that my work event is booked for the same day, and I'm like, I can do it all. I can do it all. I'm fucking stupid. And you can't do it all. Our bodies can only handle so much. But I'm like, it's fine. All good. I only bought one ticket for myself, cost $85. I'm making it to this freaking concert. So I leave my work event a bit earlier than like the end time, which made me kind of sad. I was having so much fun. And granted, like I think the event was going to wrap up within the next hour. But I was like, if I want to get downtown in time to like drop my car off, have a quick shower, and go to this concert venue, like I need to leave now. I've actually like pushed it a bit too far. So I get in the car. It says it's going to take me an hour and a half. And honestly, this drive with no traffic should have been 45 minutes. So I'm like an hour and a half. And then I'm driving and it just keeps taking longer and longer. And it took me almost 2 hours to get not that far of a kilometer distance. And so I am just like the whole drive being like, should I go to this concert? Should I not? Should I go? Should I not? And I'm just like stressing myself out. And so I call my dad. I actually call my boyfriend. My boyfriend and I talk for a little bit, and I'm like, just remind me, like, tell me that, like, when it says the doors open at 7 and the show starts at 8, like, really the show doesn't start till 9, right? Like, I am so anxious about, like, being on time to things, but, like, concerts you really don't need to be, obviously. But he's like, Jess, like, don't stress it. Obviously it doesn't start till 9. So I'm like, okay. But then I'm, like, doing the math in my head of, like, I need to get back to my apartment, then I need to have a shower, and I'm kind of hungry, and then I need to get on a streetcar, and then I need to get to the concert venue. I'm like, or I could take my car to the concert venue, but then I have to find parking, and then I have to pay for parking, and then what if I get to my apartment and then I don't have a parking spot because I have only so many visitor parking spots I could use? Whoa, girlfriend, slow down. You need to talk to your dad. So I call my dad. He doesn't answer. But then he calls me back when I'm literally around the corner from my apartment. But I'm like, honestly, the max amount of time we talk on the phone is 10 minutes, and that's long for us. So I'm like, this will be fine. I'm like, Dad, this is my predicament. I like bought this concert ticket, and I'm just like feeling so guilty if I don't go because I spent $85 on this, and I just like don't have it in me to go. And then he's like talking me out of it, thank God. And it wasn't until the end of our conversation that I'm like, and this is an artist that like my aunt went to recently and said he sucked. And my dad goes, oh God, I know what you're talking about. He's like, God, don't go. Which I'm like, thank you, Dad. When he was talking me through it, he was like, Jess, listen, your brother just gave someone $200 in exchange for something, and he's never gonna see the money bag. He's never gonna see the thing he paid for. Like, at least it's not $200. And my dad's like, I also was supposed to go to a concert recently, and I ended up selling the tickets, but then I ended up regretting selling the tickets, and then I ended up thinking about buying them back, but then I didn't, and I didn't go, and I was so glad I didn't go. And my dad will say this. He's a quitter. He's like, I'm a quitter. He's like, I tried to do, what's it called when you're in a pool? Not squash. I don't know why I'm thinking squash. Water polo. My dad joined water polo once as an adult, and he was like, I did it once, we'll never do it again. Hated it. And even just like with like any type of after school activity as a kid, and even any kind of hobby as an adult, my dad does not do organized sports. He does not do organized anything. He wants to go to the cottage and build something, or like tinker around in the garage. He's like a classic, this is dad vibes, dad mode activated. And so he's the person to call when you want to bail on something. And he's like, Jess, think about it. You did spend this money in the winter, whatever. And girl math, like, it's free because I paid for it like over 6 months ago. But he's like, if you go, then you're going to pay for transit. Then you might pay for some booze to drink while you're there. And he's like, you not going is really you saving money. I'm like, boy, math. I am here for it. So love that. And there's nothing wrong with being a quitter. And I said to him, like, I feel so guilty about this. I never want to spend money and then like not reap the benefit of whatever I spent money on. Like, I am so embarrassed about it. But I was like, this is such a life lesson, because I'm always going to remember that fucking concert that I bought a ticket for and I never went to. And also, like, I only bought one ticket. Thank God. Because before that, listen, we're improving. Before that, I bought 2 tickets to 2 different concerts that were small artists, and I didn't know who was going to be the second person to come with me. And so this happened in the winter where I had to like scrounge at the last minute to find a friend to go to these concerts with me. And then I ate the price of 2 concert tickets. So I'm like, at least I'm improving where I only bought 1 concert ticket this time. And now I didn't end up going. So now I think I'm going to think even more in advance about if I should go to a concert or not, because now I've had the experience of buying a ticket and not freaking going. Okay, it is Friday and I have had my second solid poo of the week. So I would consider myself back on track. So back to being a quitter. I just think like this is something that's so frowned upon sometimes, especially in our society, of like, you need to push and work harder and do more and never give up, because if you give up, you're a lazy loser. And that is not true. Like, part of me wished I gave up on like my musical theater pursuits when I was in high school years earlier. I was talking to my therapist about this the other day. I, in grade 9, went to my high school and we had majors because I went to an art school and it was extra. And my major was musical theater. And it was like so much harder than anything I'd done before in the musical theater space. Everyone was so competitive. I was so not into it. And I went to my guidance counselor and I was like, I don't want to do this. And then somehow I walked away from that meeting thinking, it's okay, I just have to work harder to do this. How sad. How 20th century fucking society of us to make that decision. And I still ended up switching my major when I went into grade 12 because I still hated it and still didn't want to do it. But like, I had to bear with it for 3 more years because I didn't listen to myself in grade 9, which is like giving myself grace. Like, I was young. It was like hard to listen to myself then. Even now, it's always hard to listen to myself. But I wanted to quit something, but I was talked out of it. And I look back and definitely feel a lot of resentment towards those years because I just had to constantly push myself, push through the stomach aches because I was in rehearsals for hours and hours and hours. If you had a show and you were sick, tough shit. You gotta like pull your act together. But how empowering and wonderful would it have been if I could be like, no, I'm literally like coughing my lungs out. I have a sore throat. I shouldn't have to push through this. And being able to like maybe even learn at a younger age, like, when do you need to push through the anxiety or the fear because you know you're going to feel better on the other side? Because that's different. Versus when are you physically depleted or emotionally and mentally depleted and don't have the capacity for anything else? And those are the moments when it's appropriate to quit and not do something. When I, on Saturday, decided not to go to this concert, I knew it was the right choice because nothing in me was excited about it. And I felt very socially depleted. My social battery was just shot because I'd been social all day at work. I was also working because when I go to my work events, my marketing manager hat is on. I am documenting the whole experience. So I'm socializing, but I also have my work brain on. So it was such a good call for me not to go because I was like, if I'm not going to get anything out of this, why am I going to do it? And I'm so grateful that I did have someone like model. That's the thing. I'm like, did he model quitting for me? He did. But it's like I still pushed so much to stay in things that I think I wanted to quit. And so coming to where I'm at right now, where my headspace is, I'm so grateful for adults in our lives who tell us we can quit things. And my dad definitely encourages me to quit certain things. And he definitely doesn't encourage me to quit other things. Like, he is very like, work hard, make money, get your bag, like do your thing. And so I definitely struggle to let my foot off the gas with work stuff. Like, when it comes to hobbies and like events, social events, oh my gosh, my dad's like, skip it. It's so nice. But like, he knows the kind of like vibe that like if I tell him a bit about an event, and he'll be able to tell like, do I actually want to go or do I not? And he'll just like help me make that decision. And I'm so grateful. But then when it comes to work stuff, I am my own worst, like, keep going. And partly because I love it so much. So recently I just launched a brand new podcast called Mental Health Matchmaker. That is my full-time gig, which is crazy that I get to like do podcasting and the things I love and get paid for it. It's a dream come true. That's my full-time gig. And I take on the hat of marketing manager as well with Building Bridges Psychotherapy, an incredible therapy practice. But there are definitely like, it's a full-time job. There's nothing else to say. Like, you know, it takes up so much of my headspace. And so I was hanging out with an amazing friend from high school and middle school, someone I've known for so long, and I've known their mom for so long. And I love a mom you've known for so long who can just like tell you what you need to hear. That I was like, I wouldn't hear this from my parents. And so I'm so grateful to hear this from an adult that I trust. She was like, I am in my 50s, Jess, and I still don't know how to slow down and enjoy my rest and enjoy my vacation. And she's like, she's a university professor. She's like, I tell my students all the time that learn how to do that when you're young. Work less. She's like, no one told me to work less until I was in my 40s and like had 2 kids. And no, she's like, no one's going to tell you to work less. Like, people just aren't, because we don't live in that kind of society. And for me, like, I struggle so much to take things off my plate because I genuinely love everything on my plate. Human to Human, this actual podcast makes me $0, but the platform and the foundation I built with Human to Human is now my career, which is crazy. So technically I don't need to sit here and keep making podcast episodes because there are other ways I make money, but I love doing this so much. I love sitting here and talking to you and telling you about the things going on in my life and sharing about the weirdness that I go through as a human being, and it just fills my cup so much. And so it's so hard for me. I'm not going to quit this. I'm not quitting. It's just so hard for me to take a break from it, genuinely. And I still feel like I have so much to share. And yet I know in my bones, it's summer. There's so many plans going on. I want to relax. I want to go outside more. I want to just, have some more fun. And at the same time, I have a lot going on with my work life, and I'm paying rent. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to make money to like sustain myself. And I need to take a break from human to human. Just for the summer, I'm going to take the foot off the gas. And talking to my friend's mom yesterday was like what I needed to reassure myself that I need to do this, because literally I'd made this decision like a week ago. I was like, I'm so tired. I'm scrambling to get episodes out in time for each Monday of each week, because it's just like there's so many things on the priority list. And it's just so hard because I have to realize like I can't do everything. My body just can't. My friend's mom literally said like, your quality of podcast looks like a full-time job on its own, just human to human. So she's like, what do you mean you're doing a whole other podcast? And I'm like, thank you. I love you. I needed to hear this. Because right before I went to my friend's house, I had like 2 people reach out and like mention that they love my episodes and that they want to listen to more. And I'm like, oh my God, I need to do more. I need to keep posting. But my friend's mom was like, you need to figure this out for yourself of how to slow down. And just, she went on a little rant. And my friend was standing there being like, okay, are we done now? Like, okay, mom, are you done yapping? Like, love ya. And I'm just like, I needed to hear that, like truly. And then I went on a walk with my friend. We had such a good evening together, and it filled my cup so much too. And this is the thing. It's like, you can't do it all. And yes, everything in my life is important to me, but you gotta like prioritize certain things in different seasons. My dream is to have a season and hopefully a career where human to human is my thing. Human to human is a priority. Every single week I record and there's an episode that goes out. And that I don't think will happen fully as like it's the number one priority until I'm able to like financially support myself a bit more, or maybe this becomes the thing that supports me. But right now, there's so many things I feel pulled to do, and it's so hard to prioritize. And for me, like hanging out with friends and like connecting with someone I haven't seen in months, like because they don't live in Toronto anymore, like I realize that like you just pick for that season, what's your priorities? What are they? And right now, it's connecting with my loved ones. It's giving myself some time of rest because I don't have enough of that. I'm talking to my therapist so much about like figuring out who I am separate from someone who lived with her parents, separate from my relationship, separate from my friendships. Like, what does Jess want? What does Jess want to do? Not what does she want like in the future as my career. I know what I want with that. What do I want when I am alone and when I have time to chill and when I can rest and when I can pause? What does that look like for me? How does that feel? Does it mean I'm just chilling on the couch watching TV? Does it mean I'm painting a wonderful paint by numbers thing? Do I want to just go be in nature more? And if I don't give myself the space in my schedule to explore that, then I won't do it and I won't figure it out. And then I'll feel this like emptiness in me a little bit because I'm just like pushing myself on overdrive and I'm exhausted. And so it's so hard for me literally just to take a break. I'm not quitting human to human, but just to say for the rest of the summer, which is like a month and a bit, I'm not going to post new episodes. But I need to practice what the fuck I preach. I sit here and I talk about how important it is to listen to your body and take care of yourself and slow down and nourish your needs and just like trust your intuition and be who you are and honor that. And now I'm sitting here knowing my body is calling to me saying, slow down, take a breath, enjoy your summer, relax. You need to take something off your plate. What's it going to be? And so for now, it's going to be human to human. You can still find me on socials, on Instagram and TikTok at Human to Human Pod. I will absolutely still be putting stuff out there. I am going to challenge myself to pull back and not post every damn day like I have been for a really long time now, and just let myself have some breathing room in my life. It's been 4 years of basically posting an episode every week. I have taken time off throughout these past 4 years, but a lot of times the time off was not intentional. The time off was, I'm going through something really hard and I feel like I can't share right now, so I'm going to take a break. And it feels always like retroactive or reactive instead of proactive. And this feels a little bit more proactive to me because I know I could keep pushing. I could keep pushing. I could keep putting episodes out there, but it wouldn't feel good in my body. The things I want to share would still be real and authentic and genuine and true, but I wouldn't feel good about it in my body because my body is simply tired. It doesn't mean I don't love doing human to human. It doesn't mean I don't love posting and sharing and all of that. But when your body's tired, burnout happens when you're pushing it to the point that you end up getting resentful of the things that you once loved to do. And I do not ever want to resent human to human. So I hope you can take this as a lesson that like there are seasons for different things in your life and it's okay to pull back from something for a period of time. It's not forever. And yeah, when I've taken breaks from human to human, it always felt like I have no other choice. I just have to like do this because the episodes aren't flowing and it's not working. And right now I'm like, bitch, the content, I think for me, it feels like it's working. It feels authentic, but it's the process and it's the workload I have on my plate right now. And that's what happens in the summertime, baby. We got to go lay in the sun. We got to put on a bikini. We can go swimming. All I want to do is just swim. I'm going to spend a week at my cottage, hopefully relaxing. I'm like going on little getaways with friends to beaches just to chill. And I don't want this lingering feeling in the back of my head of like, I didn't do an episode this week. Oh, I still need to edit. Because right now it's Friday at 8 a.m. And I have so much work to do today before I go to the cottage with my boyfriend for the weekend and literally disconnect from life and reconnect from each other. But in the back of my head, I'm like, I haven't put my human to human episode out. I haven't edited it. Oh, la, 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 la. And I'm like, let's try to take some of those things off my plate so I can have a more calm headspace. So thank you. I hope you understand this. I hope it inspires you to take a break and slow down as well and enjoy your summer because it is a short one here in Ontario and Canada and Toronto. So gotta enjoy what we have while it's here. And I will absolutely be back with new episodes likely in September, but follow me on Human to Human Pod on Instagram and TikTok. I'll share like real life updates there. And my website, www.humantohumanpod.com, has some info on there. I might start posting on my blog if I'm feeling inspired creatively, but only if I want to and if it feels good. Okay? I love you. Have a great summer and subscribe so you don't miss when a new episode drops because who knows when that'll be. I'll talk to you soon.